we don't necessarily owe you anything. This is an opportunity that we've provided you. What you do with that is up to you. We're going to support you. We're going to love you. We're going to care for you. We're going to coach you. We're going to help you grow. But it's not like, I get a little, like sometimes people are like, it's my job. It's the staff's job to make sure you have a good experience. And we tell the players, like, I don't see it that way. I think it's your job to have a good experience, because if you don't make a travel roster or you don't play in a game, what you do with that is up to you. I had a really rough middle 3 years. What I did with that is use it to make myself better and grow and put together an action plan of like, hey, what did I screw up royally and how do I fix it?
So where do we find you? How many years have you been the coach now?
This season 12.
Jeez. How's it feel year 12? Like, do you feel like you've...
Oh, yeah.
You're a lot different than year 1?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
I mean, for sure.
The positive of this being my first job was we were set up to like, the bar was pretty low. So like as we had success, we could kind of celebrate some things. You know, if you follow a legend, you know, the bar is so high, there's not a whole lot of low-hanging fruit, right? So for us, there was some low-hanging fruit with like just culture stuff and consistency of message. And I mean, to be fair, I knew soccer, I knew recruiting, but I had no clue what I was doing. And when you're hiring staff and you're managing people, I mean, those are not things you do as an assistant. I always say, like, when you're the head coach, you don't care more than the assistant, you just care about more things. So when you're the assistant, like, I cared about recruiting, I cared about the attack, I cared about this, but then you're the head coach and you're caring about 27 things. So you got to learn how to delegate. And if you don't, you become completely overwhelmed because you're dealing with too many things. And so, yeah, I thought my first 2 or 3 years were really good. It was like we were starting to win games and we'd never been to the NCAA Tournament. We went to a Sweet 16 and then like there was no expectation. So I kind of had this like, let's go. And then we had some expectations, and my middle, probably 2 or 3 years, I didn't do very well. Like I didn't deal with the stress very well. Now we won some games, we figured it out. I grew the most as a coach then in terms of like managing people, dealing with stress, delegation. Year 2, I was like, hey, everyone come to my seminar. I'm going to teach you guys how to be a coach. Mm-hmm. But then year 5, I was like, you know what, You guys probably need your money back because I have no clue what I'm doing. And now we've just, not that I know what I'm doing, but I've learned much better, hired the right staff and know how to manage people and just made a ton of mistakes and have learned kind of from those.
Well, we see that all the time. Like, just take basketball. You see a freshman have a great year and they talk about that sophomore slump.
Yep.
I don't know if it happens as much in football. It's more, there's 11 guys on the field on both sides of the ball at one time, but what is it about that changes?
I'm sure it's a lot of things.
Maintaining and
expectations, right? Now, like when you come in, I mean, we beat Austin P in my first game. I came from a program that went to the Elite Eight. We beat Austin P and they were like erecting statues outside up. Like, this is Austin P. What are we doing? And then we beat Texas, then we lost some games, but every win was like, oh, this is so awesome. We're building momentum. And then once we got to year 3, we just went to the Sweet 16. Now people are like, oh, that's who we are. And you just feel this like, oh my gosh, I have to live up to this now. And the second thing is just, you get too big for your britches. So I started believing like, I'm the best coach ever and you guys should, and the reality is you're not. You're still the same person. And so just learning, like, stay even keel, move on to the next one. My biggest mistake I made was when we had a bad day, I would just carry it over. So like we would play poorly on Sunday and then we would train next day. It's like, see, that's why and it's like, just move on, right? Like we can talk about this stuff, but we cannot carry the emotion over from it or you end up in this swirling toilet bowl of a, cycle where you're just, and we've gotten much better. Like, hey, if we have a bad day, we can be pissed about it, yell at it, whatever, and then let's move on. We have another one, and don't carry the emotion over from that. And just learning how to kind of deal with all that has been, I mean, if you look at pictures when I got here, I look 74 years older than when I got here. I mean,
12 years,
long time.
It's a decade plus. Give us perspective on what you walked into from your viewpoint. What was the program, the Arkansas women's soccer program? What was that like when you got here?
In full disclosure, they hired me because I was an assistant in a Conference USA school. I mean, we were good there, but like, you wouldn't do that in many sports. And I think the program had never been to the NCAA Tournament ever in 25 years. They hadn't been to the conference tournament, which took 80% of the teams in like 15 years. And so I think they were just like, man, this guy sure thinks he can do it. Let's just give him some money and see if he can do it, right?
Right.
And so the expectations were low, which, you're taking over an SEC job as your first job, which is overwhelming, but the expectations were lower. I mean, they gave me a raise in my first year. I went 9-10-1. So I was like, sweet, love this job. But like we made the conference tournament and we went 6-6-1 in the league and we had some successes and we were building momentum. And so it was great. And then the expectations fell on me and some of the, like, I got too big for my britches and, all these things that kind of led me to what I would call like a super important but difficult couple middle years. But it's been a lot of fun. When they hired me, they offered me the job and I just said, yeah, I'll take it. My wife's like, what are we making? I don't know. Didn't ask. Did you get a contract? Don't know. Didn't ask. Like, because everyone had kind of told me at the beginning is when you have your negotiation power, right? Like, ask for all the things. I was like, it's just not how I'm wired. Either we'll go and we'll win some games and they'll grow with us and give me a raise and a contract, or I'll suck and they'll fire me. Like, I just want the opportunity. So we share that with our players. Like,
how did that go with your wife, by the way? How'd she handle it?
I think she's so chill.
Yeah.
She's like, cool, where are we going? Like,
okay.
And before we got married, I told her, like, hey, college athletics is going to take us a lot of places. It's obviously both our decisions, but we can't make decisions to be close to family or whatever because this is going to take us on an adventure.
But the fact that you did that, you were able to tell your players what? You were saying
opportunity is all you can ask for. Like, what we're providing you is an opportunity. What you do with that is
like you did that. That's
exactly right.
That makes it easier to
the University of Arkansas did not owe me anything. Well, in theory, they owed me 3 years of some money. In theory, right? But that was about it. And they just owed me nothing. And so we kind of said to the players, like, we don't necessarily owe you anything. This is an opportunity that we've provided you. What you do with that is up to you. We're going to support you. We're going to love you. We're going to care for you. We're going to coach you. We're going to help you grow. But it's not like I get a little, like, sometimes people are like, it's my job, it's the staff's job to make sure you have a good experience. And we tell the players, like, I don't see it that way. I think it's your job to have a good experience, because if you don't make a travel roster or you don't play in a game, what you do with that is up to you. I had a really rough middle 3 years. What I did with that is use it to make myself better and grow and put together an action plan of like, hey, what did I screw up royally and how do I fix it? And so we put together some stuff that I thought was pretty cool, just to work on it. Like, and I told him, in full disclosure, some of this is going to suck, and if it does, tell me, we won't do it. Some of it's going to be like, oh, that was kind of cool, and then we just went with it.
Let's go. First of all, welcome to preseason. You guys excited? So I don't want to get overly dramatic, but we need to take each day as if it is the only day we're going to play soccer, because we're not guaranteed any of the other things. So today we have one goal: be great teammates, be great leaders, get better at soccer, push ourselves. I want you to have fun. Ready? Let's go.
I mean, you've had so much success here, like 3 SEC championships. That never happened. SEC Coach of the Year twice. You went through COVID, still managed to be successful. Reached the SEC tournament final 6 consecutive years. You're playing for the SEC championship.
6 different teams, by the way.
Every year. Yeah. You've been to the NCAA tournament 9 times. I mean, that had never happened. I mean, if you want me to stop, I will. But does it feel good?
No, keep going.
Yeah, does it feel good? I mean, you went to the Elite 8 for the first time.
2 years in a row, yeah.
Yeah. And then back to back. One of only 3 teams to finish ranked in the top 12 each of the past 4 seasons in all of NCAA women's soccer. I mean, you've gotten this program so far past where it was when you arrived. What's fascinating is to hear you talk about how it's easy to have, or not easy, but you have this success and you hit this spot, but then what?
Yeah.
And so how did you fight through that part where all of a sudden you went from feeling like, I know what I'm doing, we've got it going, to, oh, shoot, man. Now, I just shot my best shot. Now I don't have it. I don't know. Do I have anything left?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people go through that in all kinds of areas of life.
No doubt. I mean, there's all those books, right? Good to Great, and how do you get over the plateaus, and that's everything from working out and lifting to running in a marathon to, for us, like, we just went through this thing with the special ops called the program, and they say one thing: you don't rise to the occasion, you drop to your level of preparation. And so for us, we're very clear with our team of we're going to train harder than everybody.
Okay, freeze. So listen, guys, it's twofold. The press and the movement. We're killing grass. The ball is here. Where should you be? Here, Izzy. You should be here. You have to create good angles. The split pass should always have someone. It's both. You guys aren't just standing in with like legs locked, right? You're ready. You're moving. You should be moving 2 and 3 yards. Make it difficult. Play.
And I'm going to be more demanding. And I want you to know that I'm doing this because I love you and I believe in you and I believe that we can be great. But I believe if training is harder than the game is going to be, then when it happens, we can be ready. So like to give an example, last year's team was interesting. We graduated this class that had been with us for 5 years. It was program changing. You had Parker Goins and Taylor Malum and Haley Van Fossen and Kayla McKeon, and those kids were program changing. And they're all pros now. And so we lost all those. We still had a bunch of good players, and we were talking about winning national championships. And we got 5 games in. We're like, guys, we aren't even in the NCAA tournament yet. Like, is national championship a real conversation? We can, but we need to get into the NCAA tournament first. Like, that is not a given. And so just kind of, the process is funny. Everyone's like, oh, you got to trust the process. And most of the time, people that say that, it's probably because they're losing, right? Like, hey, you got to trust the process because we're in this moment of losing. For us, it is legit. And I think one of our proudest moments was COVID. Everyone was dealing with really difficult things. We flew every single match on the day of the game. So here's a good story. So this is COVID, and we've already had injuries to 2 of our best players. And we're flying to Georgia to play a game. And the day before, my trainer comes with the news of, hey, you got some kids with COVID. Now, 4 of my best players are all in the same room. So this was 6 starters that were out, okay? Plus we have 2 out for injury, so we're missing 8 starters. We only traveled, I think, 17 field players. So we're flying to Georgia to play Georgia, who's a very good team, without 8 starters. Halfway there, one of the engines in the planes goes down. And we're flying the day up. We leave 4 hours before kickoff. One of the engines goes out, so we have to, it's not an emergency landing, but they won't fly with one engine, so we have to land in Memphis. We had to wait, I don't even remember, 6 hours for them to bring another plane. So they have to move the game back. So now we don't have 8 starters. They had to move the game back. We land, and we're going to kick off within 1 hour of us landing. We literally throw our stuff on the stuff, and we said to the team, like, listen, guys, we have a bit of a reputation of being different and unique, and I think there's some people in the world that look at us as like, hey, I'm not exactly sure what they do, but it's kind of interesting. I said, this is a showcase game for us. This is an opportunity for us to show everybody watching we are different. And everyone else is going to talk, how young we are, all these things. We're not doing any of that. We're winning this game. And it's funny, there's a great clip. You can actually find it. And the announcer is talking about how, Arkansas doesn't have 8 starters and, athletes need their structure before a game and their legs are going to be heavy from the flight.
Pure chaos on the other side for the Razorbacks, though. They leave Fayetteville at 8:42 this morning for that 1 p.m. Eastern time kick. Mechanical issues. The flight has to land in Memphis. They finally get a flight coming back. Arrive 4 p.m., just an hour before the game, Marion. That makes a big difference in the way that you go about your day, doesn't it?
Yeah, so when the Georgia players are at home relaxing, the Arkansas players are scrambling, trying to figure out what they're going to eat for a pregame meal in the Memphis airport. So travel heavy legs and a mentally flat start is something that Arkansas is going to have to try to overcome this evening.
And we score a minute into the game to go up 1-0.
He said that he's really starting to get this team the way he wants. And there's Arkansas already on the dummy. What a start for the Razorbacks. Heavy legs? I think not.
She's still talking. I just don't know how they're going to fight through this. We score 2-0. I don't know if we score 3-0. We go 4-0 7 minutes into the game.
McKeon here. Yep, it is McKeon putting it through.
We end up winning 4-1. And, we said to the team, like, this is why we train how we do. Because when it gets tough, everyone's like, next man up, trust the process. Like for us, the process is going to show out in results. That when things get difficult, we're going to be better than you. And that's why we do difficult things, so that we can have stories like that. And we won the SEC that year. It wasn't easy. A lot of stuff went on that year. And then we had to play in the national tournament in the spring, and some of those teams didn't play in the fall. And there was just a lot that went on. And I was really proud of those players for, the SFP, right? To solve freaking problems in terms of what are the problems in front of us and how do we solve them.
One single mission of the program, to develop better leaders and create more cohesive teams. The way we do so is a belief in shared adversity. For the next 24 hours, we're all going to face some adversity.
Tell me about the program, and I want eventually get to how you get your players to do tough things to prepare like that. I mean, a lot of people would like to do that, but just like going through hard things to prepare, it's hard to get people to go through things to get there. Tell me about the program. What is that?
So the program is a group of kind of special ops people. It's a national company, and they go around the company and they work with athletic teams, they work with corporations, and they have two missions: to create better leaders and better teammates, more cohesive teams through shared adversity is kind of what they do.
So what are some things that you have experience with?
You start off, it's a lot about details, putting you in uncomfortable situations. There's some leadership stuff. I mean, the most recent one we did was we camped, and you have this super detailed camping list where everyone has to have it in their bag, and it's like random stuff like $1.37 and change, no bills, and if one person doesn't have it, it's failure. And the thing I love about it is, and it's relevant to our program, is it's mission first, team always. So it's like there's going to be times, and this is what we say to our team, we're always going to make decisions that are in the best interest of our program first, then you as individuals, then ourselves as individuals, right? It's program first, mission first. Then it's you guys. We're going to act in your best interest. And then we're going to act in me, Sammy, John, Dawn, Sandy, like all of our best interests. And I love that. I love the way they said it is mission first, because there's times when to be a good teammate, I have to hold you accountable. And that isn't always great. Like that's not always easy. Then there's other times like, how do we decide playing time? So we meet with our team and we explain to them how we do everything. And one thing we say is, if the only way I'm allowed to show you that I care about you is by playing time, then you're setting me up for failure, because we have 38 people on the team. There's only 11 players that can play. You have to allow me the opportunity to show you in other ways. We will find a role for you. That role will be valuable, and if you will accept it, right? So we have three on the field. It's starter, game changer, and supporter. Starter, someone who on the field takes a ton of the minutes. They're the ones the names you probably know. They're going to score the goals and stop the goals. Then you have game changers. They're the ones that with our style, we need depth. So you're going to go into the game and change the game. Our expectation, it's like I'm sure Nolan Richard had that, right? Like you're coming in, you're the 6th, 7th man. You're not going in to eat up minutes. You're going in to change the game. And then supporters. Those are the ones that out of 38 players, everyone's not going to play. We want to make sure that you are a supporter, which means your job is to help your teammates excel. And sometimes that's being on a scout team. And we tell them, like, listen, in the moment, it's not a desirable role. You won't say, hey, this is so awesome. But we have some people in our program that model it at an elite level, which kind of pushes everyone to this place of like, oh, wow, you really can be super valuable to a team by doing this. And we say there's a fourth role, and it's called a fan, and that means you pay money and you sit over the other side, right? Like you have to play one of these three roles. Right. And we say you gotta accept it, and you gotta before you affect it. Meaning, like if you have a crap attitude about your role, we're not gonna have real conversations about you changing your role. You have to do your role at an elite level if you want any real conversations. We use the language with the players all the time, and we also like today to give you an example. We had a group of players who ended up having to play all-time defense, and it was a thankless job. And I was really hard on the attacking players because they were not good today. And at the end, we told them, like, I want to tell you right now, if iron sharpens iron, you guys who did the thankless job of being the scout team did your job. Like, you made them better today. If you didn't do a good job, the attackers look great and, oh, we're so awesome, pat ourselves on the back. But they weren't great, and they weren't great because you made them not great. And that is an important part of our role, right? Because those people are very, very important to us. Our benches, we have people who won't even play us because of our bench. They're so obnoxious. Like, I can't even talk half the time because they are into the game. But at the end of the game, we have people who feel like they helped us win the game and didn't even get in because of their energy, because of all their crazy antics. Like, you probably see some in basketball where the guys are all crazy on the bench. They are wild.
Yeah. How do you get them there? I think, if John McDonald obviously won 40-plus national championships at Arkansas in track. And one of the things that you learned about him was how he would take maybe a guy that would, finish 5th and get it up a notch, or could he maybe get 3rd, or could we get a couple of points out of this runner? He's never going to probably win.
Yeah.
But what can, and then that has this effect all the way down to what you're saying. Like, somebody that's not even playing could influence a starter with their attitude.
Yeah.
Where the starter's struggling, whatever, and they're just they have that role. But as a coach, like, we tend to focus on the people that are playing, right? And then these people are over here, and then when we need them, we bring them in. So how did you figure out how to get them in and that last person on the team is getting coached and invested in the same way that the best player on the team might be.
I think some of it you obviously have to have a plan, clear communication, consistent behaviors, but the real answer to that is you have some special people in your program that model it. And as they model it, everyone else kind of sees like, oh, like, wow, that is, I mean, Jesse Givens and Rachel Riggs and Margot Reamstein, like there are players in our program that have done it at such an elite level that everyone kind of looks at it right now and says, oh, that's what it looks like. Like, so we say, if we win a game and you're upset after the game, that's on you, right? Like, I understand that is difficult, that you didn't get in the game and you want that, but it's got to be mission first team always. We have to make sure that if you want to go home and put my picture up on a dartboard and throw darts at it or a punching bag, like I'm totally fine with that. It just has to be after. Like, go to your room and do it. If you want to have conversations about how to affect your role and you've accepted your role, you've done a great job with that, I'm happy to have those. Sometimes my staff will say, like, Colby, we spend a lot of time with people who don't play. And I'm like, I think it's an important part of what we do. Like, we explain what we do. We explain why we do it. We do like a 2.5 hour Zoom with every incoming freshman and their parents. It's very important in communication. We have 4 expectations: work rate, attitude, performance, and communication. I think, we talk about all this, like this generation communicates mostly through text message. So one of our slides and our thing is communication. You don't dump your boyfriend on text message. Like, if it's a real conversation, call me and have a conversation. You can call Sammy. You can run it by her. Hey, I'm going to have this conversation with Colby. What do you think? And she may be like, nah, I wouldn't do that, right? Or yeah, let's go do it. But let's have real adult conversations. Let's do the difficult thing. And then we communicate a lot of why we do what we're doing, what our purpose behind it is. We say, like, here's those roles. We talk about that. Here's our expectation to those roles. Here's what we think. If you have something you don't like or disagree. One thing I do think is I want to make sure that we are encouraging strong, fierce, powerful, like women. And so they are all free to challenge me. And some of them do on a regular basis. And sometimes it's in a, hey, Colby, can we talk? And sometimes it's in a less calm way,
Yeah.
But we're okay with that because I love the passion. I love the energy. I want them to feel the freedom to do that. And then we just say, as long as it's within the parameters of mission first team always, like,
right.
If you have a way to improve
Like, it's
the
not
program,
in the middle of the game. It's not in the middle
well,
of the
they have.
practice.
Oh, yeah. I told Parker Goins one time to take a throw, and she just told me no. I was like, okay. She's not taking a throw, apparently, guys. Like, I mean, we have a story. And there's a group of people when I first got here, and it was like Tyler Allen and Haley Pescatore and Sam Wolf and Allie Tripp. And, I mean, they were competitors. And this was the same group that was one of the worst teams in America the year before. And, they weren't super technical, but they were fierce competitors. And I could tell you story after. There was one game we were playing, and playing Mississippi State, and they only had one player. They scored 17 goals. This kid had 16 of them. So we were going to play this like double sweeper marker. And then I was like, you guys are both, if we stop this kid, they can't score. Ashley Ellen wants to go score a goal. We'll win 1-0. And they're like, this is stupid. And I was like, it's not stupid, guys. They have one player. Let's just do it. Like, no, this is stupid. We're not doing it. I was like, okay, tell me why. Well, this is stupid. I'm like, okay, just do it. And if it's not working, we'll change it, right? Like, so we do it at halftime. As God is my witness, the kid does not have a shot. Ashley Ellenwood has a goal. We were up 1-0. And I'm walking across the field with my chest out like, oh yeah, and the girls are jogging by me, and I thought they were going to say, hey, good job, coach. Like, it's still stupid. I was like, oh my gosh, shut up and get in there, right? Like, so, but I told him, like, I love this, and it's so you said, how did you build it? Like, some of it was like proactive. I think some of it was just we had some people in the program early who had that personality. The culture kind of got built around it, and then we encouraged it, loved it, recruited to it. And those are strong, powerful women today. And, I think a lot of people would have said like, oh, they're disrespectful. Like, I didn't see it as disrespectful at all. I actually saw it as like passionate, they had a strong opinion. I loved how they operated.
What are some things, or have you changed? Like your approach, you make tweaks, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, your core values, how you want to coach, how you want to be, like, have those been altered at all through experience, or have those stayed the same and you just made some tweaks? And what are the shifts that have happened?
So I read
from
a book,
experience.
I read a book called by Pep Guardiola, who's one of the best,
right,
soccer football managers in the world, and basically he talks about like when he was at Barcelona, he had this very specific group of people, and they went to Bayern Munich, and he had different players. So it was like, how do I evolve? I don't want to change. So it's like I had to kind of figure out what are my non-negotiables? What are my this is who we are? And then anything outside of that, I was cool with evolving, adapting, changing, any of that. So we've kind of figured out
that's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
Because there's a lot of things that if we're trying to get it right,
Yeah.
you can be right or you can try to get it right. And if you're trying to get it right, what are the non-negotiables?
Yep.
Because if you don't have those, then it's hard not to listen to everything, right?
Yep.
You got to have a filter.
Yep. And one of the areas we've gotten way more strong in our opinion is how we recruit. So we are very clear on how we were recruiting. So I use the analogy I used to in those middle years, I was just trying to get kids and I could talk okay. And so I would I want to be this all-American buffet. And you can get a pizza and you can get some egg rolls and you can get a steak and you can get a burger. And I was like, this is stupid because all of them suck. If you do them all, they all suck. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to be the best Mexican food in America. And if you want a burrito, you should come to us because no one does a burrito better than us. And so we got very clear on what we were doing and how we recruit. And I tell every story I can to make sure they understand what I believe, right? If you want your ego stroked, this is not for you. I don't think that's wrong, but you will not like this because we're not here to stroke your ego. We're here to make you better. And we believe you grow outside your comfort zone. So my job is to make training difficult so you get outside your comfort zone, right? We scored more goals than everyone in America. Our players play incredibly, confident. We're not going to make things easy so you can succeed. We're not going to lower the bar so we can pat you on the back. Everyone does not get a ribbon here. That's not how we do things. We have clear roles and we do things a certain way. And if you love that and this is how you parent, and this is how you've experienced love for your 17 years, you're going to love this. If your parents kind of tried to mow down all the obstacles so you didn't have difficulty, this is going to be a shock and you're going to think I don't love you because the way you've experienced love for 17 years is very different than this. What we found is there's a group of people and parents who parent this way and believe in this and kids who believe in this way. And that's what they want. That's what they crave, that's how they grow. And we believe that they do grow. And we tied a lot into, so there's a, I don't remember the whole thing. He actually did it on one of the podcasts or something, but it was there's this old Indian proverb in the story and it says, an old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside of me, he said to the boy. It's a terrible fight and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is selfishness, anger, envy, jealousy, regret, greed, pettiness, guilt, resentment, inferiority, and ego. He continued, the other is good. He is courage, joy, selflessness, love, hope, humility, kindness, bravery, generosity, and fight. The same fight is going on inside of you and inside of every other person too. The grandson thought about it for a minute, then he asked his grandfather, which wolf wins? The Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. And so we, before training, we feed the good wolf as often as we can with stuff and YouTube and how you deal with difficulty and just a reminder of this is what we do, this is why we do it, and here's what you get. And so on this Zoom, we do with the parents and their kids, the last slide is, okay, what's in it for me? Because how I say is, if I said to you, Bo, I want you to dive into that sewer pothole, what would you say?
No thanks.
What if I said I will give you $1 billion?
I'm motivated.
I'm in.
I'm motivated.
I'm in. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we say. What do you get? If I just say you have to work hard and deal with sacrifice, and my job is to make your life difficult, and you don't get anything out of this, you're like, I'm out. If you're like, hey, you're going to win championships, you're going to grow as a person, you're going to go as a player. And my goal is I tell them that I care about you as a person. Here's how I am. Here's how I am good at showing you. If you need it a different way, let's talk. I'll do whatever, right? But here's how I believe in showing you love. Here's how I parent. This is what we believe in to our core. And if you don't, that's cool. It's not the right way. It's certainly not the only way, but it is a way. And if you're looking for a burrito, you're going to love us. But don't come here and be like, this is crap. Where are the egg rolls? Well, we don't have those. That's not what this is, right? And if you want, let's help you go somewhere where they serve really great egg rolls. There's 350 women's soccer programs. You can find what you were looking for.
Bring it in right now, right now. Listen, get the momentum back. We just talked about it. Do hard things. Stop laying down and run. Let's go. This is hard. Do it.
What's the difference in taking a step from not very good to, man, we're going to tournaments, we're playing for championships, to maintaining and staying up there. People talk about Nick Saban for years, and then every other year it's funny now Saban's out of his prime and he's not any good, and because he has a bad year. And it's hard to be good all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, individually, as a team, as a program, but what have you learned is sort of a key to for you, and just sort of staying there, even though that's not really what's happening. It's like a whole thing happening again every year, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't just sit there and stay there. You got to do it. You start over, and you either get back there or you don't.
You don't, yeah. I think my gut is it's part of my personality. I don't think anyone's like, I bet everyone in the program is just like happy to be there. I don't think anyone meets me and says that. I have a natural intensity to me that where it's like I want to be always growing and nothing's good enough and everything needs to get better. So to give you an example, when we win, I basically make all my staff go get a drink because I think it's important that we remember winning is hard and we need to celebrate that. Okay. So we go get a drink and it's like, it's just one drink. It's like, and some people don't drink, cool, have a Coke, don't care. Right.
Yeah, but it's a celebratory.
We're going to go have a celebration. It's not till 2 a.m. It's literally like, we're all going to go get a drink. And this is going to be a physical reminder that we're going to celebrate winning is difficult. And we win the first SEC championship. Sammy tells this story to every recruit. And we win and we fly back. And so we go to our place to get a drink and we're there. And she's like 30 seconds in, he's given all of us 43 projects to do to get to the NCAA tournament. And she's like, Colby, this is our celebration. I was like, I know, but we got to get this done. We got to do this. And she's like, nope, not doing it. Sorry. This is our celebration. We're doing it. Right. So I think my personality, if I'm not careful, wears everybody out, but I think as long as I have people that are like, Colby, shut up. This is not that time. And just finding a balance. We tell recruits, we're not balanced. I'm not a balanced human. No one's like, I met Colby, that guy is super balanced. I'm obsessive and...
Is anybody really though?
Yeah,
we all act like
well, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we all act like that's a really achievable thing. But you got a lot of gauges, right? And they all got to be, it can't be full one gauge and all the other ones are empty. But, but the fact that you can swing the hammer like you can, but yet you get constructive feedback and not always in a non-emotional way. It can be in a heated way. But that you have that two-way street, is a big deal. I feel like that's unique to some extent because you either have that, like you talked about earlier, the player's coach or the dictator who doesn't listen to anybody. You've got to be respected to be able to deliver leadership and direction.
Yeah.
But for you to get feedback helps you improve too, without getting all insecure and lost in your feelings about it. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I feel like that's been part of what's worked for you.
It is.
Just from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, I think so. And just the awareness of I'm just a logical person. That's just how my brain works. I don't think in terms of not that I don't have emotions, but separating emotions. I think I've told you this on one of the past ones. When I was dating my wife, I told her, you need to realize I'm going to be 9 years older than you. And right now you think that's cool, but when you're 45 and I'm 54 and I'm fat and my hair's falling out, you got to remember you can't like this and not this. It all comes to it. And that's just how my mind works of you're signing up for A has A, B, C, D, and E. And you don't get to cherry pick which one of those you want. Right. And so for me, if I want to be preaching growth, I need to be willing to grow, which is also having people around me that are going to push me to grow and say, Colby, you're wrong. I disagree with you. Or this is dumb. We should not do this. And I have to separate out, and I'll say this, Sammy, John, Sandy, Dawn, Zane, everyone on our staff knows, push the buttons. Sammy and I will get into it. And she's like me. She the next day, yep, we're good, cool. We got into it about a recruit the other day. Cussing at each other, got into it. And the next day I was like, we good? She's like, yeah, no, we're cool. And I think that's important, right? And it's important for the players to see, I can't say, let's grow, but I don't want to grow because I got it all together. I don't have it all together. I think I have some answers in terms of where I want it to go, but Sammy's way different than John, is way different than Sandy, is way different than Zane, and, helping them grow and them helping me grow. And because I understand, empathy is important. I don't naturally have it, a whole lot of it. And I've learned I've learned like how to logically say like, hey, I know how this would make you feel, even though I don't always totally feel that. And I think that's been super important.
How do you explain what success in an NCAA tournament looks like? You know, you got a regular season, and when you get in a tournament situation, I mean, we see it all the time. You know, you see it with baseball, basketball. I mean, you lose, you're done. Like, and you run into a really hot team. They might not have been that good all year, or they might have a really good day. And so you've been to the Elite Eight twice. You're going to NCAA tournaments, which had not happened. You're winning SEC championships, which had not happened. And I know you're probably, sitting up at night going, okay, we're gonna have a really good team this year. How do we get further? And it's like 2 seasons. What's your approach on how do you see it? How do you think about those things?
I don't say we're going to have a really good team. I say let's get better tomorrow. And I know that sounds like coach speak, but I genuinely...
That's what we say when we see you bring in good recruits. We're like, oh, he's got a good team.
And I honestly say, like, I will tell you in December. I mean, we have practice at 5:30 today, and my whole focus on how do we get something out of that. I'll tell you a story. You're talking about like evolution and how do you manage people. So we're in the NCAA tournament and we're playing Memphis, and Grace Barber's our goalkeeper. Well, soccer is weird in that if you're tied, you go to penalty kicks, which is a dumb, stupid way to decide a game, but it's what you do. So Grace Barbara is not good at taking penalty kicks as a goalkeeper. And we've done it all year, and it's like, she is not saving any penalty kicks, John. And he's like, I'm working on it, and our backup was probably better, okay? She was also our best penalty kick taker, which your backup goalkeeper taking your 5th penalty is like, no one's ever does this. So we're going into the game, and we go to penalties. I was like, all right, who's taking penalties? He's like, Grace. I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yep. I was like, okay, paradoxically, it's Grace.
Looking to send us to a 6th round. Diving save made by Barbara, and Arkansas is headed to the quarterfinals.
So it was like in that moment, he's one of the best. I trusted him. He made the right call. And, we had one of our slides, it was funny. We just did this with our team, was like, who takes the blame, who gets the credit? And we're like, we want this response. We want this culture where it's like, we're not blaming people and people aren't getting credit, but they do have ownership of areas. So John's over set pieces. And if set pieces suck, I want him to stay awake at night, losing sleep over set pieces. I also am not going to say that's your fault. We are going to get in a room and all together make it better. Sammy has the backs. Like, I don't micromanage that. If they're not good, she feels it. I want her to lose sleep over that, and then we're going to get into a room. I do the attack. If they suck, so I don't want it to be like we're not blaming anyone. Like, it's not John's fault, but I do want him to feel the weight of that a little bit. I say I don't want to be the only one staying awake at night if we lose, because if I am, I'm probably the only one celebrating if we win. Right? I want to make sure that everyone is awake, celebrating if we win, but also everyone feels the weight of this, and I don't think, you've probably heard, like, coaches get too much credit and too much blame. Like, right. I am a part of this. The culture's evolved to a point where I was joking with Hunter the other day. I think it might have got away from me a little bit, Hunter. Like, I mean, the players are edgy and they are tough. Like, they're tough, and we are guiding it, but there's definitely like, okay, this is what this is, and we're going to embrace this, and we're going to mold it. And, we got to have parameters, and there's times when maybe someone stops over a line. We say, no, okay, over a line. Nope, stop, come back in. But if we want to be great, but we're afraid to get close to the line, like for me, the world is like acts and makes decisions out of fear. Like, I don't want to do this because I don't want to get sued, or I don't want to, we're not going to operate out of fear.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to operate out of fear. So we got through the season last year, and I kind of had a week when I was pushing them pretty hard, and I was kind of grumpy. And so have you seen the movie Maverick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the beginning, when the guy's walking with him and he's like, Mach 10 Maverick, not 10.1, not 10.2, right. 10.0. And he's like, I don't like that look. And Maverick says, it's the only one I got. Like, I showed the team, I was like, guys, this is the only one I got. Right? Like, we're blowing the plane up. We're going 10.2. We just are.
Right.
And if you are, no, let's just go 9.7 so the plane doesn't blow up, we may not be your program.
Right.
If you're like, no, let's blow that. Let's see how fast this thing goes. Like, that's who we are. That's who I am. That's who Sammy is. Like, that's who John is. We're just going to do it. And we're going for it. And we're going to test the limits and we're going to push ourselves. And, you know, the values of how we treat people and each other and all that is not based on how old you are. It's like, no, we treat each other this way because we believe in it. We don't have any rules in our program, but that doesn't mean we don't have values. We have high expectations. And our expectation is like, well, we don't have rules, so you can do whatever you want. Like that's not what that is. Like,
It'd be a value violation.
That's not what that is, right? Yeah. Like if we need to, I think rules are minimum standards. That's right. They're minimum standards. Like, well, don't do this.
That's interesting. It's an interesting way to look at it. That's
so like 48 hours drinking rule. So I can drink 48 hours in 1 minute. Like if that's the question you're asking, you probably have priority issues, right? Like make decisions that are mission first, team always, right? Are you acting in a way that benefits the program and benefits your teammates? If you are, I mean, they're smart. They're super smart, way smarter than me.
How's the recruiting, the perception of the program changed from year 1 to year 12?
Oh, like, dramatic.
I mean, obviously, but what's it look like?
Yeah, I mean, we the two things. First, we won. Right. And so now be legit. And one of the things I said to Jeff and Hunter is like, listen, I did not ask for a single thing when you gave me the job. My expectation, though, is as I grow and the program grows, that you grow with us, which they've all been true to that word. I mean, in budget and salaries, and they're building us a brand new facility and all those things. And so for the first thing is like we've won, so the perception has changed, but also we have a clear identity of who we are. And I think there are some people who would just say, yeah, I'm not going to Arkansas. And some people would say, that's me, that's my dream school. And we're cool with that. We're not trying to get everybody. Like, I think a lot of people say things, oh, we're trying to get the right people, but like, we definitely put our money where our mouth is. I mean, Sandy was with us and she was on a recruiting Zoom and she was like, does anyone ever come? Like, and I'm like, some people like love it. It's what they crave. It's what they want. Like they want this. They aren't maybe how countercultural a little bit, right? Like, no, I want to be the best. I want to win a national championship. I know that's hard. You know, we asked the girls like, what's your dream car? It's a G-Wagon. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go into the G-Wagon, the Benz dealership, and say I want a G-Wagon, but I only want to pay a Honda Civic amount. Like, that's not how it works. You want the G-Wagon, they'll sell you a G-Wagon, $150,000. Like, that's what this is. This is the G-Wagon, but there's a price tag to that, right? Like, this isn't come in, I want to win, but I don't really want to make all the sacrifices that are necessary for this. If you don't want the G-Wagon, that's cool. Go get a Honda Civic. They're great cars. A lot less expensive, better gas mileage. Like, that's not what this is. And if you want it, here's what it looks like. We spend a lot of time with them and their parents to make sure this is the right fit. We're as authentic as we can be on the recruiting process. And I think some kids are like, do they want me? And I'm like, yeah, if I didn't want you, I would tell you, this is not a place for you. We're recruiting you. We want you. I will be the same on day one, first call, last call, senior day. Like, you're not going to get here and be like, Colby's different or this changed. You signed up for the Mexican. You're like, this is really good Mexican. You know, and on the days you want spaghetti, like, I don't know what to tell you.
Maybe not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Like, it's what it is. Only got one look, right? That's what it is.
Yeah.
But if you spend time with our players, I mean, Hunter's even said, like, within 3 seconds, you can tell a soccer player the way they carry themselves, the way they have a little swagger to them. You know, they have some confidence. They carry themselves in a way. And I like that. I think that's awesome. That's what we attract. That's what we want. You know, not that everyone has to be that way. I joke, my wife is the sweetest, most laid back person, like amazing. She couldn't play for me. Like, she's not that competitive, right? Yeah. Like, I think she's an amazing person. There's no one else in the world I would rather marry. I would not want her on my team if I'm trying to win a national championship. Yeah. Like, they're not the same thing. And I'm totally fine with that. It's not right, wrong. It's just this is. And we believe in it. And I believe in what it is. I believe it's not just in the best interest of the program. I do believe it's in their best interest. I think it helps them grow as people so they can have real conversations, adult conversations, have reasonable expectations, challenge things that they don't think are correct.
We've taken a really good look at the program in the last 12 years, a lot of the things that you've learned, and it's always fascinating just to talk and hear, because you can just see, you know, how you're always studying and learning, and you love doing that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's your passion as much as coaching. But if we just look at this year for a second, you're probably going in with, I don't know, maybe the best preseason ranking you've ever had, which means nothing, you know, according to you. But you've got a really tough schedule, too. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the program's just in a massively different place. I mean, you're an elite top 10 program in college. I mean, Arkansas is there's no more years of non-expectations.
Yeah.
With your program. So how do you see this season? Like just like every other year, or
Yeah.
is it different?
No, I think it's, yeah. I mean, we obviously really like our players. That's not to say, like, when you say we don't have expectations, like, I'm watching the players and they have a lot of talent, but, like, it doesn't just play out that way. Like, there's times you have talent and not chemistry. There's times you don't, like, you overachieve. We're fully aware that the amount of talent you have is a factor. It's not the only factor. So our job is to help foster all the other stuff that we can control.
Mold it into the...
That's right. And that is not through
Yeah.
just having good times. Like, creating team cohesion through shared adversity is important for us. Going through something together is important, you know? Like, another quote that I heard was like, true intimacy is through shared struggle, not through shared success. Like, when you go through something difficult with someone, it builds a deeper relationship. We don't do traditional team bonding stuff. Like, we don't do trust falls and kumbaya, and like we have assembled a group of people who have a similar goal of being great in no matter what they do, like life, relationships, soccer. And we want that, and we want that to be important. And when they go through stuff, wins, losses, like we play at Notre Dame, who I think was preseason 3. We play at UNC, who was preseason 2. We play at Clemson, who's a traditional top 20 program. We play Oregon at home. Then we got the SEC schedule. So we know, like, this is not going to be roses and unicorns. Like, I'm not saying we can't win all the games. We can, but we're on the road. We play 3 teams ahead of us, and we're 8. There's only 7 ahead of us. And we want to challenge ourselves because, first of all, it's how you get seeded, like RPI stuff. But it's also, like, we want to go through some stuff. We're going to face it head on. And, you know, I'm with you. Like, you've asked the question a lot, like, how do you get people to buy into do? Like, I think a big part of that is we're recruiting the people that wanted that in the first place. And we're clear with what it is. We attracted those people, and this is what they're here for. I mean, they're not, like, today they were kind of joking about, I saw some team doing, like, soccer tennis. Like, it's 2 days in. Why are you doing soccer tennis? You know, like, that's how they're wired. And they were like, no, if we did not push ourselves today, we did not get better.
What is that?
Soccer tennis? Just like a little, like, net, and just 2v2, and it's like tennis, but the soccer ball's smaller net.
Got you.
But it's like a hey, let's have fun game. You know, like in the
Soccer meets pickleball.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we're in the spring, and I asked one of the players, I was like, hey, so was the spring fun? She's like, well, not really, but it's not supposed to be fun. Winning's fun. Like, that's what she said.
That's success right there. That's
I agree.
So what is success? Like, I like to ask coaches and players, like, when your time here is done, how do you hope you're remembered? But what does success look like to you? I mean, because if you left today, you've been really successful. But I know you got more ambition. Mm-hmm. You got more things you want to see happen. What does success look like when your time here is over? How do you hope that people will look back at your era as a coach?
I think I'm proud of the holistic piece of the program. I'm proud of the players we had. If you came and hang out with them, you would say, I like them. The program travels the country. And he was kind of nicer to them than I thought he was going to be. And I was like, you got to tell me, like, are you just getting soft or what happened? He's like, I wasn't going to fabricate things they weren't good at. To be fair, it's a pretty tough group, man. They don't complain. They get the job done. They communicate well. They work hard. Like, if they're struggling, you can't see it on their face. And he's like, you don't run into that a lot. And so I know that our team is different and unique. And I think I'm proud of that, right? Like, I mean, you got great coaches who've never won national championships. You have coaches who are probably just okay and found lightning in a bottle and won one. Like, I don't think it's just that. I think we should be talking about national championships. I think we're close enough where that's realistic. But if I win one or don't, I don't know that that's the only form of success. I think I like that we are a little countercultural. Our kids are not entitled. They're gracious. If you came and, like, we have a dietitian and she'll provide food, they say thank you. You know, they're awesome people, and I like who the program is. I don't want to swim downstream. Like, I think they swim upstream. I think they like it. I think they're comfortable with it. And with that comes a whole new set of gray hairs, and, you know, but I love that. I love who they are. I love what they're about. And I think it relates to winning in life and relationships and soccer and all of it.